Welcome to Guitar Search Saturdays. My name's Shane. This is episode 20, shot in 4K video resolution in the lovely city of Boston in the United States. Boston's an absolutely beautiful city. I could live here, no problems at all. And no trip to any foreign city is complete without visiting as many guitar shops as you can find along the way. My tour guide for the great city of Boston was none other than Steve from the Pixie Licks YouTube channel. If you're unfamiliar with his channel, definitely check him out. I'll post a link up in the cards as well as in the description. It was a really hot day walking around the city, so any chance we had to stop off into an air-conditioned building was always a treat. Most of the Guitar Search Saturdays I shot while I was in the US featured a lot of boutique and very different shops, but this particular one is one of the mainstream ones. Love it or hate it, we're heading into Guitar Center. Let's go in and take a look. I should also point out that Guitar Center were pumping out the tunes, so because of copyright, I'm gonna have to mute a lot of our talking, which totally sucks, so that's the reason why. We're off to a really great start already. These guitars on the left are Gretsch guitars. The red one in the middle is actually a Streamliner. I had a chance to play one of these recently and they play and sound great. This big white and gold guitar is the Gretsch White Falcon. These are still made in Japan and they're built extremely well. If you're a short guy like me, these guitars look almost ridiculous on.
They might even have a Lefty in this place.
That's the one thing that seems to always confuse me about Guitar Center. They've got a million guitars if it's a large shop, and they've always got the same one or two lefties. I really like Steve's optimism, but I'm not holding my breath. Here's a guitar you don't see every day. It looks like the Joe Pass Epiphone guitar. Awesome. There's my amp. I got one of these.
Yeah, you get that what you do? You
Yep.
get the like the lacquer tweed like that?
Yeah, it's the older Tweed though. It's not quite as dark. It's more of a lighter. It's like a bit more like that Tweed.
Right.
While it's not really that big of an innovation, it's great to see Fender mixing up some of their Tweed colors on their amps. One of the colors I'm really digging that I see a lot now is their dark black Tweed. I think that's a really great look, especially on the Princetons. This is a guitar I've most definitely not seen in Australia, anywhere. This is a purple Classic Vibe Strat. It actually looks pretty cool. Well, kinda. The guitar with the dual humbuckers is actually a Chinese-made Telecaster. It's a 72 Thinline style. And what can I say, man, China are making some really great guitars, especially for that price. It's an absolute deal. The guitar in the middle that looks like my 52 reissue Telecaster is actually an FSR Tele made in Mexico. This would be a really great guitar. I doubt it would play any different to the one that I've got. I don't know about you, but the Shoreline gold color has definitely grown on me over the years. I don't actually own a guitar with that color, but I'm really digging this Chris Shiflett Tele. I think it looks pretty awesome. This particular Guitar Center also had a huge selection of Ibanez guitars. It's great to see that Ibanez are continually improving their designs. I really like some of the tops on those guitars. They're not as cliche metal as I would come to expect. Please remain calm. We have our first official Lefty sighting. And there it is, the all too familiar left-handed Mexican Telecaster in Sunburst. Beautiful job there, Guitar Center. At least they also have something a little bit different. It's a white American standard Strat as opposed to the white Mexican standard Strat that you'll usually find. I have no idea how a chain this big only seems to carry the same two guitars in every shop. Come on, Guitar Center. Yeah, Mexican Tele, there it is. I don't know about you, but I think the top on this Jackson looks absolutely stunning. It's also loaded with 2 EMG pickups and has a couple of toggle switches, which I'm assuming probably does something like splitting the coils. The best thing about Guitar Centers is definitely their used wall. You can definitely find a bargain, and you can also find stuff that they don't normally carry hanging up on the wall at a really good price. Pixie was also eyeballing that Strat on the right, which is actually an Yngwie Malmsteen one. For those who haven't seen a Malmsteen Strat before, definitely Google it. The reason is they have the most unique fretboard you'll ever see. Here we go, a Mustang 3 version 2. It was great to hear Pixie actually play one of these. The night prior, we were actually in Natick at a Guitar Center there with Nick in the States, and this is how it sounds. It seemed like just as good a time as any to see what amps they had in the shop. Alright, here we go. A Supersonic 60 head and 212 matching box. These amps are awesome. The only thing about the Supersonic 60 that's a little bit confusing, and the reason why I can tell it's the Supersonic 60, is the fact it doesn't have reverb. All of the other heads, including the 22 and the 100, seem to have reverb. I'm not sure why they didn't include it on the 60, but that said, it's an awesome sounding amp. Supersonics are definitely one of my favorites from the Fender family. The old school Fender head and box on its left is actually a Fender Bassman. Sadly though, I didn't get that in shot properly. This is something I didn't notice until editing. These are actually Friedman amp heads on top of these Marshall boxes. When I saw the Marshall logo, I figured everything on top of them were just Marshalls. I hear a lot of good things online about these amps, but I haven't had a chance to try them. Hopefully I can try them early next year. And thankfully Guitar Center killed the tune, so here's Steve and I geeking out over some gear. I also just wanted to quickly point out this particular amplifier. I had no idea it was even sitting in the room up until now. It's a Morgan amp. If you get a chance to try one of these, crank it up and unleash the fury. They sound absolutely amazing.
They're heavy relics. $4,800.
Wow.
43, $4,000. It's Australian prices, but in America.
Yeah. My friend Ryan got a price on a guitar. It was $5,500 at the guitar show we went to. It was a Relic Telecaster. I was like, man, that is so expensive.
I actually like that Gibson top. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it is nice. It's like a
That's
lemon.
pretty cheap, $22.99.
Yeah. Cool. Here we
It
go.
doesn't have the retarded like the one next to it. Some of them have like ridiculous heel joints.
Yeah.
That they're trying to do like a high performance.
These Supro guitars look interesting.
Yeah.
Kind of like a mix between everything. Like a little Dan Electro, a little bit Gibson.
Yeah. It's quite retro. I think they look way retro. That's
Yeah,
like
oh yeah,
the
yeah,
60s.
totally.
Yeah, the St. Vincent, it's like so expensive. Who's buying that shit?
There you go. What
Yeah.
on earth is that? Steve Vai.
That's the Steve Frey. That's the blue floral pattern, right?
Does it come with the free sunglasses?
One would hope. I like a gold top. I
Yeah.
got friends, they hate the gold tops. But I like a
Goldtop's beautiful, man.
Yeah, I love a
classic.
gold top.
Yeah.
But he's like, nah.
Some do look better than others, but that looks nice. That's
Yeah.
a custom shop one's great. I had basically that guitar, but with P90s for a long time. 56 reissue.
Right.
Or custom, or whatever it was called.
Right, yeah.
Voss.
So that's probably a journeyman. Yeah, journeyman relic.
Yeah. Oh, cool. My mate's got the Strat version of one of them. The Journeyman Relic Strat. Yeah, he loves it.
Yeah.
He
So it's sort of
he
like
thinks it's wild.
micro mini relic.
Yeah. And it's got some
Of
new.
course, you get your PRSs.
I know a lot of people hang it on Guitar Center for one reason or another, and maybe it's deservingly so as well. I did a video on that a while back, just with my thoughts and impressions on Guitar Center, but I have to give them credit. Where else are you going to find walls and walls of guitars, especially this many PRS all in one row? That's pretty cool. We thought we'd take a stroll over and check out the acoustic guitar selection. Not that either of us really are known for playing acoustic guitar ever, but we thought why not, let's take a look. Check it out, up the top we have 3 different travel guitars and a travel bass. These are essentially guitars that are miniaturized to some extent so you can take them with you when you travel. I've never actually played a Lefty. I mentioned this to Steve and he said they're very, very hit and miss. Some are great and some are junk. Hey, check this out, a Behringer quad box, believe it or not, for only $79. The reason these are so cheap these days, and I see this in Australia as well, is the fact that no one actually plays quad boxes anymore, or very few people do. If you do play a quad box still at gigs, please let me know in the comments and the kind of venues that you use it in. For me personally, a single 12 or a 2x12 is about as big as you'll ever need. This is one amp brand I'm definitely going to try a little more coming up in the future, Orange. They seem to make some really cool amps, and it's just an amp that I've always overlooked, probably based on just the way they look. I'm not a huge fan of orange colored gear. It was also cool to see they had a selection of Blackstar amplifiers, including the 40-watt version, as well as some Behringer amps. The one on the top right is actually my Behringer V5 Infinium. Well, not my one, but the same as the one that I've got. They're great little practice amps. It was time to hit the street again and head over to the next guitar shop. And of course, what was it? Yet another guitar center. So let's go in and take another look. The one time I was in Boston, maybe 3 or 4 years prior to this, I'd actually visited this guitar shop before. I kind of like it. It's a lot smaller than the last one, but they definitely have some cool stuff on show. Steve and I were both being a little pessimistic that this shop would actually have any Lefties whatsoever, and that's when one of the sales assistants came up and had a chat to us.
Is it a Jackson or a Squire Classic? Okay, yeah, that's always the way. It's red too, I bet. Red Jackson, that seems to be, that's my luck.
No, it's an Ibanez.
Oh, it's a black one. There you go. Oh, cool.
Nice.
One particular trip I did in the United States, I traveled by car all the way from Florida to New Orleans. I managed to stop at about 5 or 6 different guitar centers along the way, and they all had 1 or 2 electric guitars. They also had a sign on the wall that said Lefty Land. Go figure that. 1 or 2 guitars in a shop, they're always the same ones. At least this particular shop had something a little bit different. Give them credit for that. This is an amp I need to check out, one of the English-made Marshall DSL 40Cs. I know these have been discontinued now for a little while, but that said, I hear so many great things about these amplifiers and I've never tested out one of the English ones. I had tested out one of the more modern Indonesian-made amps. It was okay, but this is the one that everyone raves about, so I'm definitely, if I see one again coming up, I'll definitely give it a go.
Hey, smartass. Nice.
But the experience. So you'll need a shock mount because they haven't.
In terms of the amplifier range at this shop, it was just your bog standard Fender amplifiers on the most part, as well as some Vox AC15s and AC30s. Nothing that you wouldn't see just about everywhere else. I happen to really dig that Marshall backdrop they've got behind the guitars. I think that looks pretty cool. Steve pointed out that this particular guitar was the exact same model of the one that he's got as well. Believe it or not, this particular guitar, it's slightly out of shot unfortunately, but it's loaded with a rosewood neck. Not a rosewood fingerboard, but an actual rosewood neck. I've seen it a number of times on his live streams and it sounds absolutely great. While this particular guitar center is about a quarter of the size as the prior one, it's definitely got some really great stuff. The standouts for me in this shop in particular would have to be the range of Gretsch guitars, and I really dig this surf green Gretsch. It looks simply spectacular. Alright, I'm gonna also have to mention the pink Squire Strat. Pixie, get onto that, man. It looks like a real winner. And that wraps up the final installment of Guitar Search Saturday for 2017. I do plan on continuing these in 2018 as well. I'll probably post up one a month at the start or the end of each month. Maybe more, I'm not 100% certain how it'll work out just yet, but stay tuned, I definitely have more on the way and some new plans moving forward with the series. A huge thanks to Steve for showing me around Boston. It was an absolutely awesome adventure. If you want to see us jamming on his channel, I'll post a link up in the cards and you can check that out. Or if you want to see us just hanging out in Boston and a little bit more of what we got up to, I'll also post that link up in the cards as well. A huge thanks to everyone who supports my channel both on YouTube and on Patreon. And just so you know too, I don't post any hidden content on Patreon. All the support from there goes straight back into the channel, and I also give back on there by also providing you first dibs on any X-Demo pedals and stuff that I no longer need. These guys have signed up to get their names in the credits, so a huge thanks to Colin, Kristen, Mike, and Dave for your continued support. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much. The support for Guitar Search Saturdays has been simply spectacular, so thank you so much. It's great to be a part of something that people enjoy and just something that's a little bit different as well. Until next year, a huge thanks again from me. My name's Shane. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell for future videos. I always appreciate your support, and it's been a really great year for the channel, and here's hoping next year will be even better. Thanks again. Catch you soon.